So this is lesson 3.6a in elementary algebra, and the name of this section is called the point-slope form. Now in 3.5 we did the slope-intercept form, and that was the one that looked like this. That's the one I usually work with. Very rarely do I use the point-slope form. It's one of those options, and some people prefer it. And you can use it if you want, and sometimes it's very, very helpful. But it's just trying to remember all of these formulas and which ones to use that confuse me. So I just kind of figure out how to use the slope-intercept form, this one here, and don't really use the point-slope form very often. But let's go ahead and learn it. And if you remember from a while back, remember I said this, the change in y over the change in x to find the slope, or we could write this as y minus y1, one of the y's minus the other, over one of the x's minus the other. Okay, so if I have 2 points, that point and that point, okay? If I want to know the slope of the line that connects those, so I've got my graph here, and 3, 4 is here, negative 3, 2 is here, and I want to find out what the slope is that connects those. How do I do that? Okay, this is how you do that. You take your 2 points, and I'm going to circle my y's with red. So 1y minus the other y gives me that. Then I'm going to subtract my blues. 1x minus the other x equals 4 plus 2 is 6. 3 minus 3, oh dang. Oh, this is a negative 3, sorry, is 6. So my slope is 1. Okay, so using this formula, I find out my slope is 1. All right, the point-slope form of the equation is somewhat similar to that, and it looks like this. One of your y's minus the other one equals the slope times one of your x's minus the other one. So that is the formula for the point-slope form. Now, in the last assignment, we could have used the point-slope form in some of our problems, because remember I gave you a point and I gave you a slope. So maybe for one of the equations I gave you a point and said the line goes through there and the slope is 2/3. Write the equation. And you had to go and put this in for your y and this in for your x, the 2/3 in for your m, and then that helped you to find your b. Okay, so the point slope, or the point slope form keeps you from having to do a lot of super complicated stuff, really. Because let's take an example here. Let's say that our slope is negative 2 and we have a point negative 4, 3. And we need to write this as an equation, this information. So we're going to use this equation in order to do that. So y minus one of my y's equals negative 2 times x minus my x here. Okay, that was my dog shaking. Okay, and snoring. Okay, so you have that. Let's go ahead and distribute that. We're going to add 3, y equals negative 2x minus 5. There is our equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, in this one, which is example 2, they just give us 2 points. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to find the equation of the line that goes through those 2 points. So if we have negative 3, 3, and 3, negative 1, they're asking for that equation that goes through those 2 points. That's what we're looking for. Okay, but just given the points and not graphing it, what in the world do we do? Well, let's write the equation. Okay. So what we have to do, first of all, remember you have to have the slope and you have to have the y-intercept. So let's find the slope first. That's what we always try to do, is find the slope first. Now remember, slope is one of the y's minus the other y over the x minus the other x. So that gives me 3 plus 1 is 4. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 6. So that m then is negative 2/3. 4 over 6 reduces to negative 2/3. Okay, so now I found the slope. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. Okay, so we got one number in there anyway. Now we pick, it doesn't matter, we pick either these 2 points or these 2 points, and we just fill in the x and the y. So let's do these two. So the y1, we're going to put in a 3, that's this number there, equals negative 2/3 times x minus, what's our x1 right there. Okay, so let's kind of clean this up a little bit. And we are going to distribute. Okay, because we multiplied this times that. And then this was 3 over 1. This 3 times this 1 gave us the 3 on the bottom. So I'm going to go to the left here in red. So y minus 3 equals negative 2/3 x minus 6 over 3 is 2. Add 3, add 3. So y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. Okay, so that's the equation. So again, we found the slope of the line first. And where are we? Slope of the line first. And then we use this equation. And it didn't matter which of these 2 points we used. I picked to put the 3 in for the y here and the negative 3 in for the x here. I could have put the 3 in for the y here and a negative 1 in for the x here, and I would have gotten the same answer. So it doesn't really matter which of these 2 you choose, just pick one of them and put the y value in for the y1 and the x value in for the x1, and then you're able to go and find your information there. Alright, let's jump to example 3. Alright, so example 3 says find the equation of the line that goes through this point with 0 slope and with no slope. So let's do the 0 slope first. When the slope is equal to 0, what is the equation of that line? Well, if we've got y equals mx plus b. Okay. What we're looking for is, well, now let's stick with the point slope form. I suppose I better do that, just so you have practice doing that. Okay, so we're going to put 0 in for the slope right here, and we'll put these two numbers in for the x and the y. So y minus the y value is negative 5 equals a slope of 0 times x minus 4. So I have y plus 5 here equals 0x minus 0, right? 0 times x is 0x, 0 times negative 4 is 0, which really means all this goes away. 0 times anything is 0. So I have y plus 5 equals 0. Move this over. Y equals negative 5. And that's your answer there when the slope is 0. When there is no slope, you cannot use the point slope because you're supposed to find the slope. So if there's not a slope, we don't have really much of an option there. So we don't have, so y equals mx plus b, this doesn't exist. Okay? So what we get is just x equals 4. We just get that because we really can't do anything else. So when they give you stuff and they say there's no slope, well, then the answer is just x equals whatever the x value is that they gave you. In this case, it was just a 4. And that's kind of a fluke. I mean, that doesn't happen much, and sometimes it's just more complicated when they give you things like that to try to explain it. But anyway, vertical line, no slope. It's just x equals that first number. Okay, so example 4, let's see if we can get through that before I run out of time. Find the equation of the line passing through the point -3, -2. Okay, so my line goes through that in parallel to 3x minus 5y equals 10. Write the answer in standard form. All right, so now we have to write this equation here in slope-intercept form so we can find out what the slope is, because if it's parallel, if the line we're looking for is parallel to this, then the slopes are going to be the same. So I'm going to subtract 3x, subtract 3x. So I have -5y equals -3x plus 10. Because remember, the number with the x always goes first. Divide by -5, divide by -5, those go away. So I end up with y equals, and then split them up, -3x over -5 plus 10 over -5. Two negatives equal a positive. A negative and a positive equal a negative. 10 over 5 is 2. Okay, so there's the equation. So what is the slope of the line we're looking for that goes through that? The slope is the same as the equation we just found, 3/5, because they're parallel. The slopes are going to be the same. All right, so now what we're looking for is the rest of the problem. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of this junk because we only use that in order to find the slope. We don't even need any of it anymore. Now let's go ahead and write y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Plug the numbers in. Y minus -2 equals slope, x minus -3. So y plus 2 equals 3/5 x plus 3. Let's distribute. Y plus 2 equals 3/5 x plus 3 times 3 is 9 over 5. Okay, subtract 2, subtract 2. So we have y equals 3/5 x, that's a 5, sorry, plus 9 minus 9/5 minus 2. Common denominator for this one is the 5. Whoops, I don't want to erase that. So this has got to be a 5. So we put a 5 on the bottom. 2 times 5 is 10. So that gives me y equals 3/5 x. And what do I do with this? 9 minus 10 is -1 over 5. And that ends up being my equation. Now the book came up with a different answer, but not really so different. What they did is they decided, you know, we don't like fractions. Let's multiply this whole dumb thing by 5. That's the common denominator here. So 5 times y equals 15/5 x minus 5 over 5. So 5y equals 3x minus 1. And they got that. And then if you get your x in the standard form is get your x's and your y's on the same side. And so if we took this and moved it over, we'd get 0 equals 3x minus 5y minus 1, and then we add 1 to both sides. So we get the number on one side and the numbers with the x's on the other side, and that is considered standard form. So next video.